Okay, how many people here feel confident now that you've come back from a 10-minute break that you retain what I just said before 10 minutes? If I give you a new profile, can you make a profile? Can you give me the profile for these 3 locations? What is, without looking at this, what is Thowan? What is Thowan? What? Oh, it's probably showing on my hand, right? Okay, anyway. Thowan. Give me Thowan. What's Thowan? 6 and? Okay, FGA? 6 and 9. BWA? 3 and 5. That's how you read a profile, a good profile. So, you're cool with that? How do you match? Now, those people who have the sheet, yeah, you have a question. Because I made it on Paint, and I can only be that accurate on Paint. So it was basically my hand not being more refined.
So it's supposed to be a straight line.
It's supposed to be a narrow peak, okay? So the gap is very small. I couldn't go that small.
But why is it a peak? Why isn't it like a proper straight line?
Is there a reason why?
It's mutations. We'll come back to that. Someone in last class had asked me what are S&Ps from the previous paragraph, previous lecture. You had asked me what was S&Ps. So hold on to that. Again, I don't want to talk about why it's a peak and this because that is more complicated. But if you want to really know, I'm happy to explain after class. I don't want to say it out loud because that will just complicate matters for them. So now that you know how we make a profile or how to read a profile from a graph, you are confident on making one person's profile. Okay? And then how do we compare? What I have here is one part of a made up profile. Okay? The locations are A, B, C, D. And the numbers are just one. I have just one of the numbers. Okay? Just to simplify matters. So you are 15 people who were at a crime scene and are all possible suspects. Okay? So if I were to match on only one point, how accurate could I be? A5. How many people here have A5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 people from some people who haven't yet returned. So the rest of you are clearly not a match. But 6 people is still a lot. It's just about less than 50% of my sample suspect pool. So the next thing from the crime scene sample is B7. Who's a A5 B7? That's 4. So I'm getting narrower. Who's a C5? A5 B7 C5. Surprisingly, I'm not getting any narrow. It's still 4 people. 4 people out of a suspect pool of 15 can be my possible suspects, possible perpetrator. That's not one person. D8. And the perpetrator is her. And it's proof because she has a broken arm. She probably broke it murdering somebody. So, that's circumstantial proof, supplemented with scientific proof. Feel free to prosecute her. What I wanted to impress upon this is how you compare. Of course, you compare 2 numbers instead of comparing 1 number. I just made that simpler. But the table would be a 2-numbered table. And the reason why we have 13 or 15 or 16 markers is because you are comparing the entire profile, not just one by one. How many people had 5 in A? 6, I think, right? But how many people have 7 in B? And anything in A. 7 in B and anything in A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 people. So clearly you do not compare one by one. You compare the entire profile. This entire table has to match with that of the crime scene sample or that of the suspect for you to say that this person absolutely did the crime. Now what happens if you have only this much information available?
You'll only be able to narrow down the suspects. You won't be able to exactly figure out.
True. This is what a partial DNA profile looks like. Okay? You normally would have a 13 or a 16 subset of table. Out of that, any information that would be missing would create what you would call an incomplete partial profile. Why is that a problem?
There's no accuracy.
No, I'm not asking, okay, what can give you a partial profile? What kind of problems can you get into to get a partial profile?
Less sample.
Less sample,
But you can make all of it.
yeah. Less sample is no longer an issue. So what is giving me, if it's a good sample, less sample I can work with.
You can make sample.
No, partial profile is very different problem from mixed sample.
Damaged?
Damaged sample. Damaged by naturally decomposing just from being outside the body, slowly dying. What else?
Exposure?
That decomposition accelerated by exposure to anything, which would be
Light?
UV light, heat from sunlight. So when I say avoid the sun, not because of the light, of course because of the UV radiations, but also the heat. Heat and sun, UV radiations both. Is that clear? Okay, so any natural decom or anything, for whatever reasons, the person burnt the body, or this is a very ancient old body, not ancient, maybe just old, old body. I don't have the full information being 2 datas. So what problems do I run into if I were to make, if this is what I get from the crime scene, and you'll always have partial data from the crime scene. Because the control you collect from a person, you bring to the police station. So you can easily, if you don't get a good data, just call him over again and ask him for a second sample, right? So partial data is usually a problem from the part that you collect at the crime scene, okay? But this is it, this is all I got. So how do I work with this? Can I still use it as DNA evidence in court?
At least for narrowing some.
Hmm?
At least for narrowing some of the people.
Okay, so how many people have A5? Those initial 6 people, please raise your hand. And A7? Parul did not look at her. A combination of A5 and A7.
B7.
Oh, sorry, B7. A5 and B7. That's still 1, 2, 3, 4. So it makes 4 people guilty. But what if, for whatever reason, any kind of bias, I was not looking at the girls? I was like, a girl can't do this crime. What if I was only looking for a man, and Shudhish is the only man in this group of 4 eligible people who match this DNA profile? Would I be right in prosecuting Shudhish?
But why are you looking for a man in the first place?
Because other investigation leads, I believe that there was too much force used, that these girls are too weak to use this force.
It is a possibility, just like suppose there are only 2 people left with the same sample, and you have an eyewitness saying that it's a guy, and there's a man and a woman who you have. So
Again, eyewitness saying there is a guy, so I prosecute Shudhish. The problems here, although Shudhish and Nandini both qualify, or let's say Shudhish and you qualify, but like Nitya being, Arushi being shorter than Shudhish, probably, right? So fine, but whatever, the same build.
if the
Because how do you know the eyewitness is right? There is dozens of literature saying how eyewitness testimony can be fallible. If both of you are wearing sweatshirts and you're wearing a couple of layers to look the same shoulder width as him, and somehow like you're the same height as him, and you had your hoodie on, I could easily, either it is an intentional disguise or a non-intentional disguise, I can confuse. Because I'm an eyewitness. I'm not looking out for the perpetrator, I'm just watching people. And I can mix it up. That might just be a recognition failure, but it also could be a memory failure. Maybe I did not actually see a guy or a girl, but I want, much like the police, I think that crimes are mostly committed by men. So I think I saw a guy, whereas I saw a person. Maybe I saw it from the 4th floor. From there, you can't estimate height and build so well in the darkness. I just saw someone leaving at a particular time wearing maybe a black hoodie and jeans. And I assumed it was a guy because guys are more likely to commit crimes. That's a personal prejudice which has stepped into my testimony. So this is going to be the debate between using circumstantial and other kinds of evidences and using scientific evidences to confirm confirmation bias, to confirm stuff that may not be reliable. Now, if you had the full information, it would actually tell you that none of these guys were my first lead. The person is actually Nithya, who's not even in my suspect pool at the moment. Okay? So, but if with the half-complete information and my preliminary investigation, which has only given me 3 leads, Kshitij, Arushi, and who's there? Aditi. I'm not even looking at Nithya. Nithya is like, I haven't got into why she would want to kill someone, my victim. So between these 3, I find it easy to convict because he matches and I'm more inclined to convict him. Also, this completely and utterly fails as beyond reasonable, as fulfilling the criteria of beyond reasonable doubt. This by itself, with no prejudice, avoid any prejudice, no matter how the crime happened and what people saw, okay, without that prejudice, this scientific evidence by itself does not prove beyond reasonable doubt that Kshitij is the criminal. So especially with criminal trials, you have to prove that tenet. What it does do is, yeah, if you get a CCTV footage of Kshitij's car entering the property, license number you can match to registration, that's one additional thing. So if you have other evidences to add up, would this be a primary evidence or would this be a supporting evidence? Partial DNA, because of what I just elaborately explained, how it leaves a gap in identifying specific people, it can still be useful, so please do collect and analyze, and that report is not entirely going to go to waste. You can use it, but probably not as strongly as you would the results of a complete DNA profile. So partial DNA is usable, but it cannot convict someone because it doesn't, by itself, because it doesn't identify anyone specific by itself. In combination with other evidences, it adds some weightage. So at this point, DNA, which is considered a very good, very accurate science, suddenly becomes a secondary evidence. Okay? A supporting evidence and no longer one of the evidences that get you the conviction. That is one case, okay? Now, looking at, read this profile. In that table form, what is this profile? This is what I got from the crime scene. Sorry. I just apologize for that. What is this profile? Okay, give me a reading, a tabular reading of this profile. What's at D8, S11, 17, 9?
10, 13, 11, and 14. Oh, no, sorry.
No,
I
no,
remember
10,
10, 15, I think.
Dude,
14,
small to
15,
large.
10, 11,
10, 11, 13, 14, 15. The computer just written it up and down because like it can't fit everything in one group. So it just wrote, the computer wrote like that, okay? But when you're writing the numbers, right, how would you write it?
10, 11, 12, 13.
Where's my... I'm so lost. This is a crime scene sample. Give me the following locations. Not done. Okay, CSF 1 poll.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
8, 9,
13. 10, 11, 12, 13.
10, 11.
12, 13.
What is D16 as 539?
9, 12,
9, 12,
13.
13.
That's,
That's it?
yeah.
Okay, what's T-pops?
8, 10, 11.
What's D2S 13, 38?
16, 17, 19,
16, 17, 19,
20, 24, 25.
20, 24,
25.
25. Now, does that sample hold the potential of leading me to the perpetrator? Why not? Why not? Why not? What?
I mean, it's mixed with the other samples, right?
How are you saying it's mixed? You're just getting
Because,
numbers.
I mean, in one one location, STR, there are like five repetition. It should be 2.
Very good. So now you've understood the concept that we're at the end, and this is how we, now you've understood the concept of the fact that one person will at max yield 1 or 2 numbers, okay? So clearly what I'm seeing in this mixture is more than 2 numbers, so there are more than 1 persons. How many persons?
3, 3, 4,
Hmm?
3.
Can you make a guess?
3.
At least 3. It can be more than that.
Very good. Why at least 3?
Because
Because
at least
I-
there
There
are
should
3
be always
pairs and
pairs.
maybe some of it decomposed, so maybe there
Maybe
are
there
4.
are repetitions in
but-
some and it's
Okay, first, be kind to other people. Don't talk over each other. I know we're all excited to discuss civic sense, but you're actually right, yes. And you're also right. So decomp is one reason. This is better. So essentially what they said was, I'll take Nandini's first because that's more reasonable, because there might be overlapping. Somebody might be, person A might be 8, 9, 9, 12, and 8, 10. I'm just taking these 3. And person 2 might be, at the same locations, they might be 10, 12, right? So somehow the combination of this 8, 9, 10, 11 is giving me 8, 10, 11. The combination of 8, 9, 10, 11 is giving me these 4. The combination of 9, 12, 12, 13 is giving me these three. And likewise, I can create so many other people with so many different combinations, right? So I can never find which is the combination that is particular to the perpetrator. Is that clear? And that's only when everyone's given their DNA, somehow left their DNA behind, and nothing's happened to it. So that's when everyone's DNA is whole. Now, if somebody's DNA, which may have been left a little bit before, starts degrading, that's her thing. They will put some numbers, and the other parts may not be readable by the machine, which means that I might get more confused, more convoluted. So in this case, what if, to better explain this for those who have zoned out, give me 3 people who still have intact samples. 3 people who have intact samples. Give your sample. Okay, so what if this is your DNA profile, essentially, wrapped up in a cell, okay? And, give me a sample, one sample. Maybe you don't give because yours is the criminal one. Actually, you give, yours is the criminal one. That's my second person with their second cell, and Nitya's my third person. So I know you got it, and sorry if it looks a bit patronizing, but you'll forget it between now and 9 o'clock. So probably to sustain this, I'm going to show by doing silly magic stuff, so that it gets imbibed more quickly. Hello. Okay. So this is 3 people who have donated 3 of their DNA, and in the first process of DNA analysis, what happens is this is broken. So this is lost. The cell that was containing the DNA is lost. What I have is an accumulation of simple numbers, all of them together at the same time. Okay? When the machine reads this, they are not reading it as only what is on this, although this still just remains on this. The 3 remains on this. But when the machine reads, it reads everything that is written in black ink on white paper. It will read 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. That's what the machine will read. Okay? And that's too many people to be the perpetrator, right? So it's not very specific. That is how mixed DNAs are being read by the machine. Now, if this was your sample, okay, and let's say this is a rape case, okay? She says she was raped by 2 people, and one of the sample is hers. You took her sample because she's a victim as well, right? So when you take a swab, because let's say probably you got the DNA sample of the perpetrators from the semen that was left behind in the vagina. You had to do a vaginal swab. So the vaginal swab would also pick up her blood and vaginal skin cells. So let's say you got her sample, and let's say number 3 is her DNA. So if I know what is her DNA, can I deduct this profile from this mixture, and get what is the perpetrators? Why not?
Because there can be repetition.
Yeah, how would you?
Because there can be repetition. How do you know she was the only one with a 5? How do you know these people didn't have a 5 at A? Does that make sense?
So there's no way of separating if it's a mixed sample.
Okay. Okay, what if it was not two people? What if it was one person raping and the victim? And now you clearly know this is the victim's profile. You had a mixture of numbers and you know what is the victim's profile. In reality, it will look something like this, let's say. Okay, in reality, it looks something like this, out of which the ones that I underline, what do I do with my chalk? The ones that I underline are the victim's profile. Is this in helping me narrow down what is the profile of the,
You can make a partial profile.
what is the victim, what is the perpetrator profile?
The ones which you underline are from the victim.
Yeah, the ones that I underlined are from the victim.
Then the perpetrator would be 10, 11.
Wait. Give me perpetrator profile.
10, 11. Why?
Oh, I underlined all of that.
So,
12,
it can be either 9,
9,
13,
13 or
12,
12.
or 13.
9:30.
Or 12.
Or 13, 13.
Okay. T-box.
8, 8, 8, 10, 8, 11.
16,
16, 17.
I like that you thought of this. Very analytical, good skills. However, why didn't the same thinking go here?
No, it can be.
Can it be 9, 10?
It's already,
No.
there are 4.
Because there are 4. If 2 is taken and people can only have 2, the other 2 have to be the guys. Is that clear? Right? Okay? So good. You're actually getting down how to it as an analyst would.
Can we not take a fresh DNA sample from the victim and we know for sure whatever is there? Like if 12 is repeated, we can take out 112 victims 12 and we know like if
That's what I did.
no like not a partial profile, we can make complete profile for the
Oh,
perpetrator.
we only got a profile from the victim immediately after the rape. We got whatever semen was left behind in her vagina. That sample can only be collected one time when we did the medical examination of the rape victim. Okay? So after that, she's gone into treatment, she's had a shower. That's not accessible again. Okay? Then I got her independent profile, not from the vagina, from control samples like we get, swabbing the mouth. And that profile was 8, 9, 9, 12, 10, 11, 16, 19. That profile was a pure victim profile. Now this is what the crime scene profile was. So now, because I know the victim profile, can I build a perpetrator profile by just reducing what has been taken away?
Not like,
Not specific.
you'll have some suspects, right? So like by knowing other evidences maybe.
So this will not be an investigative lead because look at the number of combinations you have to do to create profiles. It will at least give you a lot. Let's just say a lot, okay? At least like 24 people to look for, 24 profiles to look for, and they might match to at least 24 people. So that's a lot to search for. So this cannot be give you an investigative lead. If I find someone, can I prosecute them because their DNA profile falls between this?
No.
What if my suspect is does he fall within my possible perpetrator profile? So do I prosecute him? Why not? Why not, man? Raj.
Man, you can't just like go on a hunch, I guess. On a very, you have to be like really accurate with these things if you want to go.
Because it is not accurate. It's not specific enough to fulfill the beyond reasonable doubt criteria. Again, can I still use it?
To narrow down suspects again. yes.
To narrow down
Makes sense.
suspect, to prove that this guy actually can be within this perpetrator profile. So it may not be specific, and by itself the DNA would not cause a conviction. It cannot be the primary evidence around which you center your entire case. It will be at best, in this case, if it does match, it will be at best a supporting evidence. And that's only when you are sure that it's only two people who are contributing to the mixture. If there is more than two people contributing to the mixture, it doesn't matter even if you know one person, you can't fixate on one profile. Three or more.
I don't know.
Talk it out, talk it out.
It's more like if I take an independent profile of my victim, and let's say the victim had 8, 9 from this side. yeah.
Okay.
From the victim had 8, 9,
Okay.
9, 12, 8, 10, and 16, 17.
Okay.
So we know we can take out if it's 12 that's repeating. I'm sorry, you underline 9. I thought it's 13. Maybe the victim had like 9, 13. If 9's twice, we can take out 13 and 9. So we know the perpetrator has got 9 and 12. So we can.
I don't understand. Clarify again. Okay, let's do this here. What is the victim profile?
Okay, the victim's profile is. Let's say the underlined ones is the victim's profile.
8, 9,
9, 12,
9, 12,
10, 11,
10, 11,
16, and 19.
16 and 19. Okay.
So maybe the machine showed 9, like if we take out the fresh part from 12 and 9, we do not know if it's 9.
Where 9 are you taking? This one? This
see,
one?
for the first one we are clear it's 10, 11 for the
Okay,
perpetrator.
yeah. So this one.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
we do not know it's 9, 13, 12, 13 or 13, 13. Right?
Okay, the possibilities are 9, 12, 12, 13, 13, 13.
9, 13.
9,
9, 13. 9, 13, 12, you wrote 9, 12. It's supposed to be 13.
Okay, 9, 13, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So if maybe the victim had 9, 12 and the perpetrator got 12, 13. So 12 will be twice, right? From this profile we know the victim got only 112, so we can take out 112 and the remaining will lead us
May
to
I
12.
preempt you? Are you saying that then I look at the graph and see whether it's a double dose? And if it's a double dose peak, that means if 112 comes from the perpetrator, from the victim, the perpetrator must be contributing the second one. What do you think? Is that possible? Could that be?
But what is the number you say? Then the data is because the machine, right? The number of repetition you're making. The graph won't give you.
Yeah. So she said, like, don't just look at the table, go look at the graph and see if the graph can add on extra information via which you can narrow down between these three possibilities. That if it were 9, 13 or 13, 13, the 13 peak would be abnormally high. It's not. The 12 peak is the highest of both of them, which means it must be 12, 13. You can, yes, if the question was that you were looking at two possible donors, victim plus rapist, in that case, you could do that, but you also have to see that it holds true for this situation, that similar gift should be here, here and here. And I'm just working with 4 locations. You are in real life working with 16 locations. At all points, you may not see 16 DNA.
But somewhat it will narrow it down more at times.
It might, yes, it might narrow it down more. So that's you. So when the scientist is giving an opinion, he must know how much weightage he should be giving to this one matching as opposed to this one matching after he's used your logic as opposed to this. So the calculation depends on that. So that's good thinking, yes, you're getting it right now. But that will get more difficult to do when there's more than 2 people contributing to it. So at 3 and more, things are getting very unclear.
So you can't really use it as evidence, right, after
Mm,
it?
not much weightage. 3 and more, you can just stop doing. At best, like I said, you could prove that that suspect, the person you caught or arrested for some valid reasons, let's say, does match within the perpetrator profile. But that's going to be like, a little stone towards his, on the balance, towards his conviction. It's not really the big boulder that you want to put on the balance. Is that clear? How mixed profiles can be problematic? Man didn't get it at all. Did you? Did you get it? Shruti? Clear? Meghna? Were you listening? Were you texting? Okay, this is only the first round. We will revisit this lecture again in revision week because this is all very new. But this class, at least some of you, seemed like you're getting the logic of it. Harsh completely is lost. Did not get the logic of it. It's okay. That's why you have the PDF. Go back, read, discuss within your friends group if you have to. We'll go through this again. Is there anyone here whose attendance I have not marked? Anthony, I marked. Shadish, I marked. Oh, you, I didn't mark. Can I take the attendance first? What's yours? What? No, I marked you. Prashad, I marked you. If it's below the threshold, it is definitely residual. This is a made-up number. You mean from this graph that I just showed you?
Like the first one, 9, 10, I guess.
Oh, they were just touching the threshold. Just touching. So sometimes when you think you have 3 people, it doesn't mean that 3 people were contributing to the act. It might be that somebody touched the surface before and then 2 other people bled out on that place. So you might be picking up blood, but you might also be picking up some DNA left behind by a 3rd person, completely unknown, right? So maybe, like in other cases, you might have had consensual sex with your partner. The victim might have had consensual sex with the partner, okay? Then washed herself or cleaned herself or had protected sex, so there was not too much cells left behind. And then shortly after or much later, she was raped. So there might still be a little presence of the consensual sex partner in the vagina. However, that might not be so much because she's washed herself after that, there was protection, so only a little bit of was left behind because of friction. So that may not show up as the same peaks as her and the perpetrators. It might just be at the threshold level. If it is less than the threshold level, it will not register. So maybe in some of those cases, I'm partly not registering the partner's DNA because some peaks are below the threshold level. So maybe it would have actually been 8, in TPOX it would be 8, 10, 11, 12. But the 12, because it was below the threshold level and from the partner, did not get registered. So this is what is coming up on the CS, on the crime scene sample profile. But that's a very good question. Yes, you were thinking on the lines that I want to think. So I don't know what you think, but I'm very impressed that so many of you got this concept. But for those who did not and feel a little flustered with all this DNA being thrown at you, Try your best to keep up. We'll revise this again. If this is not what you take away from this class, all is not lost unless you actually go into criminal litigation. You can always come back and revise this. You'll be older and wiser, and maybe you'll get this then. Practice makes perfect, okay? So the more you look at it, the more you revise it, the more you start grasping it. Okay, thank you. Everyone's attendance taken?